Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, I got an article talking about Russians' inability, military inability, to conduct any counteroffensive in Ukraine. This is according to the British intelligence, which could always be trusted, and it's coming via a Ukrainian news outlet. So let's see what these guys are telling us. So this is reported by Ukrinform today, the 28th of October 2022. Russian troops in Ukraine not capable of offensive operations, British intelligence. Russia reinforced its groups on the right bank of the Kherson region with poorly equipped and insufficiently trained soldiers who are not capable of conducting offensive operations. According to Ukrinform, the UK Ministry of Defense said in its latest intelligence update published on Twitter, and I'm quoting, Russia has likely augmented some of its units west of the Dnieper River with mobilized reservists. However, this is from an extremely low level of manning, end quote, the agency said. It said that in September 2022, there was a huge lack of personnel for combat units of the Russian army in the Kherson region. In particular, some companies consisted of 6 to 8 people. Given that additional staffing took place at the expense of poorly trained and equipped soldiers, the leadership of the Russian army decided to concentrate their efforts on the defense of occupied positions. Alright, when they say here Russian army, do they refer to the Russian army per se, or do they refer to the Russian forces or the Russian coalition? Because the Russian forces or the Russian army is as it is. Remember, it was about 150,000 people at the border with Ukraine before the operation started, before the February 24th of 2022. And to add, it was that added people fighting from Chechnya, from Syria, from other the territories, the republics, the breakaway republics, mercenaries, Wagner group. So I would like to know, they're talking about the Russian army or the Russian coalition, but I don't think they will clarify that. And I'm quoting here, in the last 6 weeks, there has been a clear move from Russian ground forces to transition to a long-term defensive posture on most areas of the front line in Ukraine. This is likely due to a more realistic assessment that the severely Jesus Christ, is so small, severely undermanned, poorly trained force in Ukraine is currently only capable of defense operations, the ministry said. It added that even if Russia succeeds in consolidating long-term defensive lines in Ukraine, its operational design will remain vulnerable. And then it says, and I'm quoting, to regain the initiative, it will need to regenerate higher quality mobile forces which are capable of dynamically countering Ukraine breakthroughs and conducting their own large-scale offensive operation, the ministry said. British intelligence earlier said Russia was unlikely to be able to form combat-ready units in Belarus. I have doubts regarding these statements, and I will say why. If you think that first, the Russians are going, I don't know if still mandatory for them to go to the army and serve for there a year or two, or how many years they have to. Nevertheless, I know that's a large population of, it's a great number in the population of the Russian Federation who were in the army. So they were trained, and they're not trained 5 months or 3 months. I think it's like 2 years or something. I know it was 2 years. I don't know, 2 years and a half or something. So they are trained. Now, when you say trained, what do you mean by trained? People say, no, they're not trained, they're not trained, they're not trained. Trained is to follow orders, right? And learn a few, not even a few commands. Because you're just a guy who's going to be used. Go over there and shoot in that location. And you have a guy in charge, right? An officer who tells you what to do. Now you have to know how to operate an weapon, whatever weapon you are provided, and follow orders. And you have to be kind of fit, but nowadays you're with trucks. You're not like going 1,000 kilometers or miles on foot. So you're deployed somewhere, and then from there you go by groups. When you see movies, that's one thing. Like they all, yeah, let's go, yeah, and they all know what to do. Those are specially trained platoons. That's not what happened in a field with the regular army. I mean, that's the goal, to be like that, but usually doesn't operate like that. And you don't have an army that would really operate like that. Those are like the experts who are, they know exactly what I have to do. Not a regular guy in the military that goes 1 year for a training. So if you take the guys that are in training over there, and I'm not trying to bash anything here, but it's just getting those people, the new recruits, and with the military experience. Those are guys that were in the army for a year or two. So what do you want them to do? They can't be Rambo overnight. That's taken already by the United States. So we can't expect them to be like that. Shooting an automatic weapon is not about sniping here. It's about shooting an automatic weapon. An automatic weapon is not used to shoot at a very long distance. It's including the AK-47. It's a assault weapon that you use to spew as many bullets in a shortest period of time and be reliable. That's what an automatic. It's an assault. Go ahead and pop, 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 pop. You don't have to poop, shoot. Okay, that's another way of what experience exactly you need to. Special forces? No, there's not too many special forces. Nobody has hundreds of thousands of people who are in the special forces. And those are the ones that shoot thousands, millions of rounds. Military? Not really. Not really. And they say, well, they struggle to get. Don't forget, Russia has 145 million people, population. You have at least 30 million people that are able to serve, adults to serve. From that, you get at least 10 million people who are able and were served and know how to operate an automatic weapon and know to listen and follow directions and being able to operate. That's 10 million. You want me to cut it in two? I cut it in two. 5 million. And these guys used what? 150,000 at the beginning, and now they scrambled to get some more. Up to 300. It's not 300, it's up to. And they didn't get 300. So let's say you got another $150,000, I was about to say, 150,000 other recruits. On top of the 150, you got 300,000 people. Do you think that these are the only ones that know how to operate and be good military and are prepared? And the rest are just retards and like, I've never seen an automatic weapon. Do you think that's the way? I don't believe that at all. There should be at least minimum of the minimum 5 million people who are soldiers. Soldiers. You put their weapons and you go and fight, and they're as good as the ones that were already in the army. They were in the army. So what the hell are these guys? And then you take the other side. The other side has 1 million they put over there. Were they all trained? Who are those guys? The same guys, the same kind of quality. So they have their standing army, 100, 2,000, 300,000 people, and then they have the army, the reservists, like the Russians. So they're fighting the same kind of quality. What are these guys talking about? So if you judge it like that, why don't you judge the same thing on the other side? Do you think those guys have all kind of Rambo and all? No, they don't have that. They're the same kind. Why would those be more trained than the other ones? Tell me, intelligence services. This is just... and besides, when the Russians will... and that's the same thing happened in the Second World War. When the Russians lost with the quality of weaponry, and with accuracy and all that, and the quality of, they made up with the numbers. But the Russians did not push that button yet. When they push that button, they would go through the Atlantic Ocean. All right? Or maybe not, but I'm figuring things out here. There, I mean, really, it's just minimizing here, maximizing over there. I mean, we use the same logic and evidence-based, statements. I don't think so. So these guys, as I said, the intelligence services of a country are not there to inform us only. It's to disinform us, misinform us, not this, because they know, and knowingly they give you information so you can, oh my God, right. So if you just think about, yeah, man, can you imagine those guys just were taken from the street, put to shoot, and they're like, here, not in the army, because it's not, mandatory to go in the army or something, or it's not like that. It's not really like that. And besides, different culture have different kind of, I don't know, views on things. Thank you very much for being with me. I don't think that the Russians are incapable of doing that. I think they tried the bare minimum, and I will keep saying that, because if they want to keep the maximum, they would get 30 million people right now. They have the capability, human capability and military capability, the weaponry, and we'll put it over there and we'll go to wherever they want to go, westward. So I don't buy that. They came to invade a country with 150,000 people, and those guys put 1.5 million. I mean, really? And then you add up to 300, and then you're going to add another 150 or something? This is the bare minimum in order to not to rock the boat in socially and economically in Russia. That's what it is. And the thing, all this situation will hurt Ukraine the most, and then the Western citizens the most, and then the Russians, or maybe the Russians second, and then the citizens over there. Winter is coming. Inflation is high. These people have a very low tolerance to pain. And to, where's my Coke, where's my air conditioning, oh my God, immediately they, and I hope they do, I hope we do, I hope we talk, I hope we get out in the streets and we say we don't like it, not because of Russia. Russia is Russia, it's because our lives, not that's a different story. I don't like when my life is dragged into other people's life by these weasels doing the bidding of other interests. I don't like that, and that's exactly what happens here. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.